This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
I am honestly, genuinely 100% confused, Matt. Like, I do not understand why.
I thought that was you every day.
Well, it is. That's why I have
today
Valerie.
Specifically,
That's why I have a Valerie. That's why I have a wife. But I'm genuinely, like, I just do not understand why people want to leave California. Like, it is so, like,
well, I can give you plenty of reasons.
Okay, so let's go through that.
So let's start that off. This is according to friends and family members, some who have moved to places like Texas. One, they say the politics. They don't agree with the more liberal politics in California. They want to move to more of a, what do you call it, like a red state.
So, like, what do they mean by politics?
They mean by the type of legislation that comes out of our state capital.
So the state, but are they frustrated with like this? A lot of what's happening in schools,
like some of the issues with small businesses. They don't like how California seems to be more oppressive to small business owners. And I don't know that for a fact because I'm not a small business owner. Yeah. This is just some of the rumors that we hear. So there's that aspect of it. They don't like the politics, so they want to move to a more red state where they agree a little. Their views and values align more with a more conservative governor, legislation, stuff like that. And then some people say it's more financially beneficial for them to live in a state like Texas because they have a friendlier tax structure in Texas, state taxes. And so people here in California, they want to sell their house and move because they feel like we're overtaxed. There's always a new tax on everything, gas prices.
At what point are you not overtaxed?
Right. Well, you explain to me. You've done the research.
I have done the research.
You're saying bottom line is that it is not or it is marginally, very thin, marginally beneficial financially to move to Texas.
Well, let's take it one by one.
Let's do it.
Politically, wherever you are in the United States, you got the same president. Wherever you are, you have the same federal government. And so if you're upset with the state stuff, I get that. But as far as schooling goes, a lot of it's controlled at the federal level. So as far as vaccines go, a lot of that's controlled at a level higher than the state. So whether you're moving to a red state, blue state, purple state, like it's going to be the same. You got the same government regardless. Okay. Then as far as taxes go, I just checked this out before we came on the air. If you go to Wallet Hub, just Google Wallet Hub and search like tax comparisons between states. It'll show you income comparisons. So there's income tax, there's property tax, and then there's an overall tax burden on the individual ranked by state. And so if you take out, Texas or Nevada or other states may have lower income taxes, but they have higher taxes in other brackets. And so for instance,
like property tax is different in Texas than it's
heavier
in California.
Yeah. And so
you're going to pay more in that.
So you're going to pay more in property taxes, but you're paying less in income tax. And so according to Wallet Hub, overall in the overall ranking, California was the 5th worst state in the union in terms of overall taxes. Texas was down like the 30s somewhere overall. But the spread, and you're thinking, Johnny, what are you talking about? That's a huge difference in terms of numbers. But the overall spread, the difference between 5th and whatever Texas was 2.84% in your overall tax burden. 2.84%. So if you're making $100,000 a year, rounded up, that's an extra $3,000 a year. Your tax burden is in California versus Texas. To me, that is not worth losing the weather. That is not worth leaving family and friendships and relationships. That is not worth the stress of wondering if there's something better out there. Like, have you ever been to Texas in the summertime?
Yeah, I've been to Texas. Yeah, I mean,
did you like it?
I was only there for about a week. We were north of Dallas. My brother-in-law lives there now. He has some property, and there's a lot of mosquitoes. There's a lot of bigger bugs. There's humidity and stuff. But I mean, hello, have you been to the summer in California? It's deathly hot when we get into the triple digits.
It is.
So it is a dry heat. Yeah, we'll go there. It's a dry heat. But I mean, everybody prefers something different. But I wanted to mention something else that people say is a benefit to Texas. If they're willing to sell their home here in Northern California and move to Texas, many of them like that they're going to get more property. They're going to have a more land in the home that they buy. And you have a very passionate opinion about that.
Well, hey, I'm not here to tell anybody how to live their life. I'm just here to share what I've seen when people have made those decisions. And so if you grew up as a child in suburbia and you bought a house in suburbia, and now you're going to relocate across the country to a place that you've visited maybe a handful of times and buy 20 acres, you are in for a shock. Because who's going to manage those 20 acres? Like, the grass has to get mowed. The weeds have to be pulled. There's a lot of maintenance on that property. What I deal with regularly with people in rural areas here locally is they are wanting to downsize. They want to get rid of the 5 acres, the 20 acres, the 1 acre, and they want something simple to manage. They want a single-level home. So that way, as they enter into their senior years, the property's more easy to maintain. And so a lot of people are selling in California, selling their homes for a lot of money, buying a lot of land, and then they've just marginally improved their tax situation, and if they've improved it at all, and now they have a new headache, a new hobby, where they get to deal with the bugs and the grass.
It's true. And I will speak of it from not my personal experience, but my brother-in-law. So they wanted to move they lived in Dixon, and he is a military vet. He worked at Travis for a while. But they sold their home in Dixon because they didn't like the politics in California. They didn't like the education system here. And they wanted to move to Texas to experience a little bit more freedom and a more like-minded ideology and values. So, they wanted to evacuate California because they didn't like the things that stress them out here. And those are some of the things, like the politics and yada, yada, yada. The taxes and stuff like that, even the gas prices. So they said, hey, we want to get rid of all of that. We're tired of dealing with all of those frustrations. Mm-hmm. So they went and bought 20 acres. Speak of the devil, 20 acres in a very rural area in Texas.
Were they retired, or what were they doing?
No, they're not retired. He still works. He's still he is no longer in the military, but he got transferred to that area.
Okay.
So, but he no longer works for the military. He's basically a truck driver, and they bought 20 acres. I think they got like 5 or 6 cows, a couple of pigs. And this is in a very rural area north of Dallas, Texas. Mm-hmm. And I mean, there's not a convenience store for like 5 miles.
Yeah. They swung hard the other way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yes, they no longer deal with the stresses that many of us may feel we're dealing with here in California, but the stress has kind of just changed. Yep. So they're still dealing one of their kids had a terrible accident on the property, and it was forever for the ambulance to get there. Yep. So that was stressful, and they're still dealing with that stress. There's the stress of, like you said earlier, managing that property. It can be overwhelming at times, managing a property that, like you said, if you've never done it before, it's brand new. You think it's going to be fun, but oh my gosh, it's a lot of work, and it's expensive, especially if you have animals. It can be very expensive.
Yep.
Inflation is high in many areas, including trying to have a ranch or send any farmland. So taking care of a property. So yes, they've gotten rid of those California stresses, but they've taken on new stresses that they didn't used to have.
And what I want to share, like if you're hearing this and you're thinking Johnny's just so pro California, like and anti everything else, I want you to hear like my heart of like concern and sadness for people that make these moves, because once you leave California, especially if you're in a retirement situation, it's very hard to go back.
You mean once you leave California, it's hard to come back? It's
hard to come back. If you decide, hey, you know what?
Why is that?
Because you've spent the money. Like you bought this beautiful house in Texas, and now you've spent all this money maintaining it. The property value may have gone up, but now you're going to buy back into California.
It's going to be more expensive.
To buy back in, and so now you're trapped in this situation. And so for your family, I know exactly how that story is going to end.
Well, no, I don't think they're going to come back. They're going to still deal with it. But
they're going to deal with it. But what's going to happen is, and this is just a guess, right? This is me looking at my crystal ball. So it's been known to have a few cracks here and there. But what typically happens is people get so frustrated, they feel like they're out of control. They move out of California to a area where they believe that they'll have more control. But then they realize, hey, I'm out in the middle of nowhere. This is a whole lot more work. there are certain things that our family needs, whether it's schooling, whether it's healthcare, whether it's just sport events. Like now they have to travel everywhere to do that stuff, and that you're paying gas. You're right. You're paying Texas gas prices, but you're still buying gas. And then they realize, okay, you know what? Let's move a little closer to the city. And now you end up in more of like a medium between where you were in suburbia California and suburbia Texas, because it's a whole nother job, like living in that rural area. Yeah. So, anyways,
but you know that doesn't mean that, hey, if you are especially at the age of retirement and you're looking for now your forever home and you want to just retire, and maybe you will have the money to hire, you know, ranch managers
or if you're used to it, if you've done it before.
Exactly. Like maybe you live in Loomis or Auburn and you know you want that kind of lifestyle.
If you're accustomed to it, if it's not new to you and you're just moving what you have to another state, then that to me, I've seen people have more success with that. But if you've been like, you know, you've had your 10,000 square foot lot and your grass backyard with a pool, and now you're moving out into the middle of the woods with a bunch of land, that's hard.
But I think maybe you might be thinking of more of younger families, you know, that have to uproot their families. But if you're in your twilight years and you're older, and absolutely you don't have the energy to take care of multiple acres of property, but you know, maybe you're ready to retire and you want to have a sunset view in Texas, then absolutely you'll be absolutely happy to help them get the most maximum dollar for their home here in California so that they can get something great in Texas.
So we're absolutely, we're here. We're not here to tell you what to do. I'm just sharing that, you know, people oftentimes feel trapped in their situation and they think the grass is greener somewhere else. And I'm just trying to be maybe a voice that isn't commonly heard, where it's like, okay, the grass isn't necessarily greener over there.
Right.
You're not missing out. Like a lot of people, younger people feel like, hey, if I don't own a home by the time I'm 23, I'm behind the 8 ball. Like, what am I doing with my life? I'm 30 and I haven't bought a house. Like, am I ever going to be able to retire? Am I ever going to be able to make money? Like, there's all these expectations that society places on people. Some of them for good. Some of them maybe they're unnecessary. And so that desire to leave the state that a lot of people of like certain political or religious affiliations, like, there's a lot of reasons to stay too. It's not always, the grass isn't always as green as they make it out to be.
Right.
Again, 3% tax difference.
Right.
3%. And the difference between California and the most tax favorable state, Alaska, is a difference of 5.47%. So basically 5.5%. So we're not talking like, for the average person, a huge like financial windfall from moving from one state to another.
Okay, cool.
So.
But still, you know, if they're set on moving to Texas and they live in Rockland and they want to move to Texas, you're still willing to help them out.
Oh, 100%. Okay. We do that that's honestly who we help more than anybody else. There's a lot of people looking to leave.
You don't try to talk them out of it.
No. But if they ask me like, hey, how would you recommend I plan this? We have certain steps. So if you're thinking about moving out of state, absolutely. Like, we can help you with that without a doubt. We have these steps. And so just reach out to us. Go to madeformoreliving.com and we will help you make a smooth move to Texas, to Idaho, to Florida, to North Carolina, to South Carolina, to wherever you want. And if you want to stay in California, we can help you with that too.
Yeah.